All right, HPLD users, we're going to cover some basics of navigating our new catalog, Vega, which will be the default catalog for everything starting April 13th, sometime in the PM, and will become our only catalog in June 2026. A lot of the questions we're anticipating are going to be along the lines of, I knew how to do X in the old catalog. How do I do it in Vega? And you should be able to do just about everything you've been doing in the old catalog, and actually some more stuff. So we're going to take a look. I'm not going to cover everything. I just want to get you started. So we'll just kind of cover some very basics. So if you wanted to check out Vega early, from mylibrary.us, you can either hit search or my account. I'll just hit search. This takes you to the old catalog, Encore. And if you click Try Vega Catalog here at the top, that'll take you into Vega. Now I'm logged in at the top here, but you're going to want to go ahead and log in. You'll use your same library card and PIN. So go ahead and do that first thing. And then first thing after the first thing, this logo up here, High Plains Library District, whenever you click that, it takes you back to this main page. So if you ever get somewhere and you realize you don't want to be there, if you clicked on one of these books and you're like, how do I get back to the main area? Just go ahead and click this up here. That'll take you right back out. Let's cover these menu items really quick. This is a little different because these will all take you outside of Vega. So stream, my account, events, services, learn, locations, and hours, main website. These are basically replicating what we have at the website at mylibrary.us. So if you wanted to look at events, you can click this. It'll take you out of Vega and into our events calendar. These will all open in a new tab, all that good stuff. Up here, we have language. You can select that. This is the cookie stuff. So, when you say allow, disallow, all that kind of stuff. This will take you to Vega Help, this question balloon. Question balloon, should we call it that? Will take you to help. This is help provided by the makers of the catalog Vega, not by HPLD. So if you're having a very basic problem, you might start here. If you're just like, how do I XYZ? You can start here. But if you're having a problem specific to HPLD, this isn't going to be where you want to go. This little house will actually give you location info. It's set to your home library by default, which is something that's set in the catalog. So mine's far, and you can see all the info about far, but you can also pull this down and check out other locations as well. And then going here will take you into your account. Let's just start by looking up a material and going from there. So I'm going to look up a favorite author of mine, Patrick DeWitt. And you can see we've got, many things by Patrick DeWitt. Now, there's some interesting differences in the old catalog and the new catalog. One difference you'll probably notice in the old catalog, let's say we were looking at the Sisters Brothers and we had a book and a large print. Those would be listed in two separate places, but here they're kind of put together in this tab system. So the nice thing is you can see all the different versions we have of something available. The one thing you do need to be careful about with this. Okay, so right now I have book selected. You can tell it's got this green bar and it's highlighted white. Or I could move to the ebook and you can see that's on Hoopla. I could go to the large print. I could go to the e-audiobook, which is on Libby. If I push this button, request any edition. So this is handy. I can put something on hold right from the search page, right? What it will do, though, is request any edition that is a book. So it won't request all these different versions, and I'll get whichever comes first. It will request all book editions of this, excluding large print, right? So I won't get the large print if I clicked request any edition right now. I have to click on this tab and then say request any edition, and I will get that large print edition. This is kind of library language, so it's a little tricky sometimes. We think of editions as, for example, a paperback versus a hardback or a mass market paperback might all be cataloged as different editions, but they're all the same thing. So this isn't going to give you just any format. It's going to give you any edition under the tab that you've selected. Something else that's really important to know here is, let's say you find one that's available from Hoopla. And if I were to borrow this, if I click this borrow button right now, it will check it out on Hoopla. So I will have to go into Hoopla to read it, and it will count against my 6 Hoopla checkouts for the month. So just be aware that when you hit borrow here, it will borrow it and it will count against your checkouts. E-audiobooks or audio ebooks from Libby work almost the same way. The major difference, though, is that because Libby books, you don't have a limit per month. You just have a simultaneous limit, right? So I can check this out on Libby. If I hit borrow, and I'll kind of show you what this is like. And so I've borrowed it. It's on Libby. When I open the Libby app on my phone, the Sisters Brothers will be there. It'll be, or if I open Libby in the browser, it'll be there. The other thing that's a little different is if I go into my account, which I'm going to do in this upper right-hand corner, I go to my account portal, I can see what I have checked out. And now this will include things that I have checked out on Libby. And it will also include things you have checked out on Hoopla. So something really important to know is that when you check things out, you might look at your checkout items and it says 4, and you might say, what? I only have 3 items checked out from the library. But this will include those items that you've checked out electronically as well on Hoopla and on Libby. Now let's do a search for something that has multiple volumes, just so you know what that looks like you manga readers out there and so on. So here I've got Berserk, and if I say request any edition, again, remember that's not going to give you any volume. It's not going to give you any format. It's just any edition. And I'll say confirm location. And after I confirm the location, it will display for me the volumes available. And then I have the option to place a hold on whichever volume or volumes I'm interested in. Another thing while we're in this search for Berserk, let's talk about refining the results over here. So you can see like the first thing it brought up is an ebook from Hoopla, but it's kind of a book about the manga Berserk. This is an audio ebook about, I think, an MMA fighter or a boxer or something. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know much about much. But maybe these aren't what I'm interested in. Sometimes it can be helpful, especially if you're looking for a certain format. You can refine your results, and right away you've got availability online versus at the library. So if you knew you were looking for something in print, you could just hit at the library, say apply, and then you can see this one comes up first. Another thing to notice about this is when I hit at the library, I had to hit apply. It won't just automatically sort everything. You have to set everything you want in here and then say apply. You know, another way I can do this is by format. So I can say print books, graphic novels, apply that, and I'll also see that same thing. So I'll eliminate those electronic items as well. So that's one way you can do some searching and make that a little easier. There are lots of different categories and things here. Age groups, just be aware, this isn't necessarily what's most appropriate for each age. It's the collection in which a book is placed. So just, be aware of that. You may need to moderate content or that kind of thing for your family or your household's specific needs. You can see you can change between fiction and nonfiction. You can also get, some more specific things here. Subjects, persons, etc. Persons are usually authors or illustrators. But if you were searching for movies, for example, you can look up Die Hard and you could see like, maybe there's some other things I don't really want. But you could say, okay, well, where's Bruce Willis? And I can confirm that and then say apply. And now I'm seeing Die Hard options with Bruce Willis. You will occasionally see this, right? Like you've got some different listings. They're not all perfectly listed together. This is sometimes because we have member libraries or other things, or sometimes DVDs and Blu-rays aren't listed together. But for the most part, you can see it like this one, for example. I can choose a Blu-ray or a DVD. To talk a little bit more about what we're looking at here too, you can see here are libraries where a copy is listed as having been on the shelf. If it's got a green check mark, that means it is checked in and on the shelf at that library. And if it's got a red X, it's not in that library at the moment. We can get a little more info too about an item by clicking on the title, and it takes us out of the search here. So now we can see a little bit more about it. We can see where it would be located. So it'd be in the DVDs, in the Ds. Also below, so Vega does give some related resources. Sometimes it gives topics. Sometimes it gives contributors like Bruce Willis, or sometimes it will give you, it's kind of like a people who liked this movie also liked kind of thing. So that can be kind of fun or useful when you're looking through the catalog. Okay, let's do some account stuff. So I'm going to click in the upper right corner here, and then I'm going to click this account portal. I mean, you can also go straight into some other options, but I'll just do it that way. So here, we can start with an overview. This will show that I have 6 things on hold, and I can check the status of those holds. I've got 4 things checked out, and I can kind of manage those. This would be like, for example, if I wanted to renew something, I could go in here, take a look at what I've got. I can probably renew this one. Yeah, I've only renewed that once. So I can hit renew here if I wanted to. You can see that this audio ebook that I checked out, I can check it in, or I can get item, which is getting it on Libby in this case. But I'm actually not going to use this, so I'm going to go ahead and check it in. And then you can see it disappears from my account. Under account here is where you'll have kind of all your personal information, let's call it. You'll have your library card number over here on the right. I'm going to have to blur all this out because, I'm just using my real account. Below your library card, you'll have the option to opt into a reading history. Now, this doesn't work currently. This is March 23rd, 2026, and I assume this is not going to start working until April 13th, or probably really the 14th of 2026 when we switch over to this catalog. But you can opt into a reading history in the old catalog, and if you have done that, your reading history should carry over to Vega. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. Next to this pencil is where you can edit some of your own information, where you want to be contacted, phone numbers, addresses, emails, stuff like that. There's also a procedure you have to go through if you want to sign up for text notifications. And that's going to be forthcoming here in the next week or so. So stay tuned for that. Managing preferences. This is kind of an interesting thing. You can kind of talk about, or you can kind of manage what content shows up when you do a search and stuff like that. So I'm just going to kind of click on this and show you what it's like. But you don't have to do this, or, we don't even need to talk about why you may want or not want to do this, but it's an option. So if I have no default filters right now, but I could set them up. And this can take a minute. So if you let this load, sometimes it takes a little bit of time, especially as you click these. Sometimes they don't load right away. So you just got to wait a little bit. And sometimes it doesn't even work then. So maybe if we go back and refresh this page. There we go. So you can see I've got these options here. So for availability, for example, I could say when I search, I only want to see things in the library. So if I checked this, it would only show me things at the library by default. So let's just do that really quick. I'll click that. I'll say create default filters. It'll think for a very long time. And now when I search for that Berserk again, you can see it's showing me the print. Now, over here, you can see I still have the option if I want to see the online stuff. I can check that and hit apply, and I'll see the online stuff as well. So this doesn't eliminate it. It doesn't completely remove it from any search you do. It just sets all of these boxes or all of these things to defaults automatically. so that when you're searching, it's just kind of a little more convenient, I guess is what I would say. So anyway, now I'm back in account and I can go back into manage content, and I don't actually want that. So I'm going to remove filters. You can always update those filters and change them as well. Checkouts and requests, we kind of covered that. You can see what you've got checked out. You can also see your holds requests, and you can manage the holds so you can freeze, cancel, or edit the pickup location. So I think editing the pickup location, that's pretty obvious. Canceling is I don't want it anymore. Freezing is a little bit different. The way freezing works in this catalog is once you freeze it, it will stay frozen until you unfreeze it. So you can see right here, this one I just froze, place in line is 1, but it also says frozen. And if I go to manage, now it says unfreeze hold instead of freeze. So I can unfreeze that one. And then that should put me back right where I was. You can also search your hold list. You can search your checkout items list. I believe there will also be, if you have opted into reading history, a reading history tab up here, which is also searchable. Bills and fines, pretty straightforward, right? It'll tell you what fines you have and why. You're able to pay them online if you wanted to. Minimum online payment is $1. Bookmarks. Bookmarks are kind of the lists of Vega. We made a separate video that shows you how to transfer your bookmark or your lists from Encore into bookmarks on Vega. So basically taking old lists from Encore and putting them in here. But let's just go through a quick one. I'll show you how to make a new list in here, just so that you can kind of see what that looks like. So when I find something I want, like Bart Simpson out to lunch. No, I want the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Let's face it, we all know that's the best. The easy, quick way to do this is to just hit this little bookmark here that says for later. And what it'll do is automatically save it to a default list, which is for later. But you can see here I've made an extra list called DVDs from Encore, and I can also make a new list right here from this screen. I'll just call it Simpsons. Done. And now you can see I did that. It moved that Treehouse of Horror to Simpsons and off of for later. Now, if you want to manage lists you've already made, go ahead and go back into your account. And we've got these bookmarks here. And here's my Simpsons list. And so from here, I can do things like I can click this and say, delete these items. I can add them to a different book list. I can place holds on everything. If I had a list with more titles, like I do here, I can select all of them. I can place a hold on all of these at once. So, if you wanted to do something like queue up a bunch of things you want to put on hold around Halloween, and then hit this up on like October 1st and place holds on everything, that would be a quick way to do that. You can also, switch them around to different lists and do all that kind of stuff. Save searches, I'm not really going to cover, but I'll just kind of show you very quickly what that's about. So I'll search Simpsons again, and this time I'll say save search, and I'll save a new search called Simpsons. You can go ahead and do that. So if I go back into my account once again, you're going to get very used to that. You can see I've got my search here. So I guess if you did a very complex search and you added a lot of different facets and limiters and things like that, you could save the search. And then what you're able to do is from your saved searches option, you can run the search again and it'll run the exact same search and you don't have to do everything all over again. I think one other thing that I wanted to show you is that the searching in Prospector, for those of you who use that, is a little different. You can see I did a search for Simpsons, but let's just pretend I searched something that wasn't in here. I can do search in Prospector, and what I actually need to do is click this little window just to the right. That will pop out a new window and will take us to Prospector. It's not working at the moment, but that's something that will be solved very soon. We also, at the very bottom, is where you can do your prospector and interlibrary loan. We have links to those pages. We have an accessibility page. We also have this get a card page. And this is basically for new users who are in need of a card and want to know, what do I need to bring with me to the library? How do I do that? And so on. That's pretty much it. I mean, there is more to this, and there's a lot to explore in Vega as far as like these new materials, banners, and like looking up materials will kind of, you can rabbit hole in this one. You know what I mean? If I look up Ichi the Witch and then I wait for a second, then I've got related resources and I'm like, oh, what's this? Wonder Woman in the Justice League Dark, the Witching Hour, and I can take a look at that. And then maybe I want to look at James Tinian IV's other works. And I can find out a lot more about what's available from James Tinian IV and even check out DC versus Vampires, which I'm telling you from experience is way better than it has any business being. Sounds ridiculous, is a little ridiculous, and it's a great read. Okay, now that I've recommended some comics to y'all, I hope you'll enjoy using the new catalog. I mean, I know I'm saying this and it's like someone from Google saying like, we changed the layout of Gmail. I hope you enjoy it. And you're like, there's no way. But I do think ultimately this catalog, once we've all gotten the hang of it, is going to offer us a lot more and make a lot of things much easier. I think that covers most of the basics of how most people probably are using the catalog. So what I recommend is if you want to get in here and play around, this catalog is active now. So it's not set as the primary, but it is usable. So you can get in here and start playing around with it. The things that you do in it now will carry over on April 13th. So if you start making a list, or if you wanted to transfer your lists, those lists will still be here on the 13th. If you saved searches, or like if you put an item on hold in Vega today, it will work just like a normal hold that you're placing in Encore. So if I requested this, it would show up at Far Library for me in probably a day or two. But yeah, I would recommend you get in here and check it out. Check it out. What a library thing to say.